So we are smash in the middle of our monthly theme, the practice of becoming. And what exactly is it that we are seeking to become? The truest truth of who we are. It stems from this belief that there is a divine goodness at the core of each one of us, that place where we connect to the allness that is, whether we call that God or the divine or the beloved or just simply the way life is, that there's this energy that touches the heart of every single one of us and that we can open up to. And so our talk today is called Listening Beyond the Noise of the World. And perhaps the world doesn't seem noisy to you on the outside. I think for some of us, whether it's we're turning on the television or looking at our phones are full of noise, yes? This is me scrolling through TikToks. Or the noise of the opinions of our friends and neighbors. And then there's the noise on the inside of our own heads. It's just me, right? With the chatterbox in there talking about what it should be like and what it shouldn't be like and how I should have been and the thing I said or the thing I should have said or the thing I shouldn't have said. It's a little more likely that one than the others. And I suppose I'm not the only one that has found that underneath that noise, the noise of the out and the noise of the in, underneath all of that, there is a silence. And we catch glimpses of it, don't we? On a long walk out in nature, or doing that thing we'd love to do more than anything else, we catch a moment of that silence. And what if I were to say it is actually a part of our religion, as much as anything can be in a new thought following where we're all such individual and unique seekers, that in our founding documents, we are called to actively seek out that silence. Ernest Holmes said in The Science of Mind, page 351, for the three of you that always want the reference, we're surrounded by all sorts of vibrations, and if we wish to catch any of them distinctly, we must tune in. And you may have already cottoned on to the idea here that we're going to talk about meditation. And how convenient of practitioner Ralph to be providing us with a meditation workshop next week. Yeah. Talk about golden timing. So what is it that keeps us from truly listening to life? What is it that stops us from tuning in actively to that vibration? If there were only one answer, I could be done. We could do the offertory and I'll go home early. But because we are all so unique, there's a million and one little things, right? And yet, the way in which we're all the same is we've all got some of them. Every single one of us. There's a whirlwind of inner and outer distractions. That TV, that phone, whatever's calling our attention, the problem at work, the worry inside, what our kids are doing, what our kids aren't doing, the opinions inside of us. What if I were to say all the things out there, yes, they're distracting, but the real distraction, the thing that keeps us from the silence, are those inner things. Our judgments, our opinions, reliving the thing that happened for the 79th time, only saying what you wish you'd said. Especially fun if that thing happened in 1988. I feel confident I'm not the only one that re-examines the timeline of events over decades to see just how it landed that way. And every single bit of that, my friends, every single bit of that I spend trying to recreate what simply was, is a distraction from my truth, is an interruption in the becoming of who I really am. And because I know I'm not terminally unique, the only one with this particular problem of retelling inner stories, I'm willing to bet that each one of you have something like that that operates in their field, interfering with each one of our ability to be who we truly are. Those are the blocks to spiritual clarity. And the good thing is, we have the capacity to change it. We can look at our false beliefs, our opinions, and what we know. It's not just me that thinks I know a lot, right? Oh, I know a lot. Oh, my husband's like cricking his neck over there. Like she knows a lot. And sometimes that thing that we think we know is the actual problem. Now, almost nobody ever comes to me and says, Reverend Leslie, I can't get clear in my mind because I can't let go of what I know. Maybe not ever. Instead, I can't be clear and open because I can't meditate. I tried. Twice. Or maybe 100 times. And you may have an inner hand going up inside you. Yeah, I run into trouble with meditation too. I get it. I hear, I can't do it. I can't make my mind be quiet. I can't make the monkey stop chattering. I can't do it. And this might feel familiar to you. Even if you're a really seasoned meditator now, you probably went through that period of time where you thought that the point of meditation is to sit in absolute uninterrupted silence, inner and outer, for like hours, generally in some sort of uncomfortable position, definitely a mudra, a position of your hands, right? And to commune wholly with the divine 100% of the time without ever having an interrupted thought. Yay, sure. And I've never done that. I've never sat through hours and not had an interrupting thought. I saw practitioner Bill raise his hand. Bill, who happily goes to week-long silent retreats and comes back and tells us the adventures he's had, has never had hours with an uninterrupted thought. So here's the thing about I can't do it. We're going to take a breath. The kids would say, I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this. If you're doing anything, that's probably the problem. Because it's not about wrestling our minds into obedience and forcing it to be silent. I feel so peaceful right now. It's about allowing. It's about letting the thought wander through, noticing it, and saying, oh, I'm thinking again. Yeah, letting it go and return to the silence. Even if we do that 100 times in a 10-minute meditation, we have done the job of meditation. Our job is to show up and keep showing up. I like to think of my thoughts as like they're sitting on little leaves that are floating down a stream. And I just watch the leaf go down the stream and return to the silence. Is that different than your idea of what meditation has been for you? If that feels foreign at all, I invite you to feel into that idea of just letting the silence be, just letting it be. Silence is an active teacher to us, which is so interesting because to get there, we do nothing. As I said in my newsletter, my friend Robert often says, don't just do something, sit there. And that truly that's the heart of meditation. It becomes active for us because true listening, quieting the intellect, entering that inner sanctuary of the divine, that's where the true us lives. Beyond our political ideas, beyond our social ideas, beyond our religion or our philosophies, beyond how we think someone else should have acted or how we think we should have acted, beyond all of that, inner, is that altar of the Most High that Reverend Karen talks about, that place of the divine within each one of us that is the truth of who we really are. Every single one of us have one. Every single one of us. And it's interesting the way we can find a technique to get through life, often a philosophy or an idea that we hang on to for dear life, when finding that thing that we seek invites us to let go of that and to simply be. And the letting go allows silence to become an active teacher for us, because that's the space of inner growth. That's the place where we start to notice our conditioning, our patterns, the places in relationship with others where we hold on to what we know instead of opening up to love. It's good news that Steve let us know it's never too late to open up to that love. It's convenient to get that message in this moment, which is the only moment we ever really have. Because see, that one's already gone. And we're to this moment now. And in this moment, we can choose to let our own deep wisdom emerge, to open up to our own intuition, to notice that still small voice. Before I was a regular meditator, I would hear people talk about that still small voice. You hear that? It's talked about all the time, that still small voice of the one that everyone insisted was right here. Ooh, a lot of books I read sure talked about how it's right here. And I was just really sure that spirit, perfect spirit, missed one. Like I got in a different line that day. I got extra curly hair and no inner depth, maybe. But only when we let that silence ring through us can that stuff be heard. It's called a still, small voice for a reason. It can't outshout the news. It can't outshout whatever conflict I have going on with whatever beloved in my life. It can't outshout something that I did 7 months ago that I am still trying to track the who did what's and how and who said and how did this become such an issue. It can't. It can only speak if I lean into that silence you're going to recognize this one, until I be still and know. A concept that is biblical and also shows up in every other faith tradition I've ever studied. We talk about that golden thread of truth that runs between all faiths. This is one of them. That the highest, deepest truth is found right here in that access point to the infinite oneness, to the divine, to whatever your word for God, Spirit, the universe, the truth is. There is this man, his name is Gordon Hempton, and he is what's called an acoustic ecologist. He goes around into places of endangered nature, and he records what the environment sounds like, to catalog it and to study it. And he's thought to be one of the most profound understanders of silence, because his whole world is worked in the silence of humans, but the noise of nature. And he said this: silence is not about the absence of sound, but about the presence of everything. When we allow quiet, all that is makes itself known. No matter how long we listen, there will be something new, delightful to engage in nature. No matter how long we go inward to that still small place within, there will be something more delightful to learn about the divine and our role as an expression of the divine. Isn't that so wonderful? I used to want to get there. I just want to get there. I want to be spiritually evolved. I want to get there. It took me a really long time to understand that there's no there. There's no there. There's just the more and 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 the more. And I find such delight in that now that I'm no longer seeking the finish line. So a beautiful thing happens if we allow the silence enough, if we choose to presence silence through active, regular practice. We find something deeper than the silence, and it's stillness, inner stillness. I'm a big Eckhart Tolle fan. I've read all of his books and I like to listen to his audio because there's something about his voice that just makes it really clear for me. I see heads nodding. Yeah, it's good stuff, right? And in one of his earlier books, I think it might be A New Earth, he talks about a story of this gal who lost a precious item. She believed it was stolen by someone that she trusted, and she couldn't get past it. She was burning with rage about this lost item. And he said, what would it be like if you were to just accept that it's gone forever? There's no getting it back. There's nothing that can be done if you were to accept that. And she sat in meditation on that for a while, and when he brought her out and asked her how she felt, she said, the anger's still there, the loss is still there, but there's a space around it. It doesn't consume me. And that is the stillness. That is the stillness. The stillness is the silence embodied. And if you hear, I would say twice a month at the New Vision Center about why we should all be meditating and how wonderful it is to meditate, and we implore you to consider meditating, it's because we felt the stillness. Not every day, all the time. I'm sure there are people that can get there, but if you've touched it, if you've tasted that stillness, you want everybody to have it. You want everybody to have that deep understanding of the truth of their own soul. There's a Zen story about, what are all the Zen stories about? There was a guy that had a question. I think that's the start of literally all of them. Right? I agree. And so he was worried all the time. He was never calm. He was never settled. He was either worrying about what he did in the past or worrying what's going to happen in the future. And he lived in this pristine mountain village where he could see the mountains and the mist would come down over the trees. And there was such beauty and such peace. And he knew he was missing it. Why couldn't he just be in this beauty and feel the peace? And so he went to the master, who had helped lots of the villagers with similar problems. And he said, Master, why can I not just be at peace in the stillness? I live in literal paradise. Why cannot be in peace, in joy, right here in the stillness? Please show me a way to quiet my thoughts. And the master said, you cannot force the wind to stop blowing, but you could choose to stand in a different place where you're sheltered and the gusts don't blow you over. And so the student said, okay, can you teach me how to stand somewhere else? So they began a training program of meditation together. And little by little, the man started to notice change. And one day the master set him on a nice flat rock next to a beautiful still pond. And he said, your lesson today is to sit and watch the pond. And as he watched, he started to see the reflections of his mountain in the pond, and the sky and the clouds floating by, and even his own reflection, beautiful in the pond. And he started to think, I understand the silence. And right about then, the master picked up a pebble and threw it in the water. And ripples, ripples, ripples. Gone was his beautiful, pristine image. It was gone. He could see flashes of trees and sky and mountain in the circles as they waved out. But he said, why? Why would you do that? I was finally getting clear. And the master said, the water was perfectly clear before, but only one stone can scatter the reflection. And the man said, I think I get it. If I stop throwing stones in my mind, will I be at peace? And the master said, yes, indeed. But remember, you are not always the one throwing the stone. Sometimes life hurls them at you. Sometimes old memories do. Sometimes your mind itself does. But stillness is not about controlling the entire world. It's about learning to let the water still again once it has been rippled. It's about letting the mind be clear again, no matter how many stones have been tossed. It's simply, oh yes, I'm meditating. Oh yes, I'm meditating. Over and over and over. And in that lies the peace. In that lies the stillness that creates the space that allows us to be tranquil even as the world throws stones. And so here is your invitation this week. It's a lot like a lot of other invitations you've had on other weeks. This week, I invite you to join me in the challenge to meditate silently 10 minutes every day. Just in the quiet, coming back and back again. And if that's already less, if you already do more than that, I invite you to maybe extend your meditation time just a little bit, 5 minutes more, and see if you don't begin to feel that space. Are we in? Fantastic. Let's anchor this in with some prayer. What a joy it is to remember that the best parts of this thing we call life are right there in the palm of our hands. That infinite spirit is always right where we are. That in fact, no one has been missed out in the line of inner depth and sacred silence. How good it is to know that whatever is needed, whatever is wanted, whatever feels like it is that which will expand us, that it is right there in that still small voice and that guidance that comes on the inside. That there is nothing anyone could ever want that is not available in the divine. There is nothing that cannot be healed in the oneness. Nothing. That Christ consciousness, that unconditional love consciousness is always right where we are. And so grateful I am to know that every need, every heart that was carried into this sanctuary and this online sanctuary, that it is met right where each is with that loving, peaceful truth. I'm grateful to know that love indeed is revealing the power of love in and through and as each one of us. And in that gratitude, I just release this word, knowing it is already done. And we claim it together as we say, and so it is.